Hey, Kayla, and Kaitlin is in the studio with us today.
Yes, welcome to another episode of the Modern Agent Marketing Girls podcast. We are so excited to have a guest with us. Although I feel like Chelsea and I always start off this podcast very chipper because we're very upbeat people, but I feel like we have to tone it down just a little bit for you today.
Okay.
So
Well, but the thing is, I have two. I have layers. Okay,
I
so
love it so much. Well, can I just read something for you that I'm very proud of, but you might be like, that was terrible and you're very rusty.
Go ahead.
But I wrote an intro in your style, in your voice, okay? It goes like this. Welcome back to another episode of the Modern Agent Marketing Girls podcast. If you're tuning in right now, there's like a 98% chance you're sitting in your car, chugging lukewarm coffee, trying to convince yourself your client isn't going to ghost you like your ex did after he found your diary that you used to document intrusive thoughts. And you want to grow your business on Instagram. Woo!
I love it.
yes, exactly. Yeah, you gotta find the soft underbelly, and just that's where you stab.
Yes, poke. I love it so much. Can we just get right into like the meat of it? I just want to tell you, I know a lot of people have followed you on Instagram because they think you're hilarious. But Chelsea and I, the moment we found you, we were like, this girl's really smart. Like she knows what she knows
strategic.
marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah, she totally knows marketing. So like before we get into all of it, how did you come up with the courage to like just do things completely differently? I mean, there had to have been some pushback from a broker or from other industry peers or even sellers. Like, how did you sell them? Like, just trust me.
It's funny. It's funny because everybody like asks me like, "Oh my gosh, you're so brave. How did you find the bravery? How did you find the courage?" I don't feel like I did because I had nothing to lose at that point, right? Like I'm a new agent,
good.
okay? I'm not even 2 years in here, and so I didn't have dignity, okay? That I was, I didn't. I had 1,400 followers on Instagram, and I just felt like I didn't. There were no stakes for me, and I think that one mistake people make is that they believe they have stakes when maybe they actually don't. Okay,
Yeah.
but anyway, I don't think that I was brave, and in fact, I think that it was more scary to me to just like blend in or like not be myself. Like I was more scared of being frustrated with myself than I was of like, oh, what if someone doesn't like me? So I wouldn't call it bravery, more just like, I didn't feel held back by the fear of what other people think of me.
That's so good. And I feel like that's a skill that takes some like time to polish sometimes for people. Like people have to like get into that practice of just putting something out there knowing that it might flop, but who cares if it flops? Like no
I've
one's
never
thinking about
heard
that.
someone say like maybe you don't have any stakes, because that's so true. Like if you're just starting out, everyone's so afraid to take the first step or do the first thing, or to even like a lot of people are afraid to be different because they're like, well, all these people over here are doing it this way and they're successful, so maybe I should do that. But that like sucks your like the life out of your soul. So to think of it as like there are no stakes. Like my only stake is like not doing anything is going to keep me from moving forward at all. So
Yeah,
like how did you come, or go ahead.
well, no, sorry. I was going to say like people invent these like potential clients that they're afraid of losing. And I'm like, they're not real, like
Right.
you can't lose them. And then also like I would ask the follow-up question of like, if you show up as yourself and you're afraid that you'll lose those clients, then why would you want to work with them anyway? And I mean, at the end of the day, people are like, oh, because I need money, right? And that's a legitimate thing. But also like,
Yeah.
Attract more of the better
yeah,
than like
yeah,
being afraid to lose the bad, you know?
yeah.
How did you
Exactly.
come up with like how did you first get going? Like when you're like, I'm gonna post this video with the microphone and have this like vibe, like where did you plan it? Was it accidental? Like where did it all start?
Um, okay, when this first started blowing up, I kept saying like, "Oh my gosh, I accidentally like did these smart things that like in retrospect I can look back and deconstruct." But actually, I'm trying to give myself more credit and just say like I had really good instincts, I think. And one thing that I think I am good at is I pay attention to what is happening on the internet. So I feel like I can understand what is happening and like I can see these little things people are doing that maybe on the surface you're not paying attention to necessarily. Like, I think the first time you watched one of my videos, like, I don't know if everybody consciously is like, why is she squatting? Maybe you are thinking that, but like, I don't think everyone is consciously like, why is she squatting? But then you notice it as a thing and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so weird.
Yes.
But also, like, she's got great mobility. Like, you gotta respect. You gotta respect the mobility.
I just saw your reel where you're like, why I train. I think it was the training.
Oh, yeah.
You're doing the squat, and I laughed so hard.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
It becomes
Well-
your signature style without you even realizing it. Like, I think that's what we tell our members sometimes and other agents that listen to the podcast is like, you already have a brand. It's right in front of you. Just like notice it, like pay attention and then like lean into those things. Don't try to reconstruct this whole new, persona of who you are. Like lean into who you are.
It won't work, if you're
Yeah.
trying to be someone else.
Yeah.
Like if
But, I
someone
mean-
tried to copy your videos, it probably wouldn't work because they're not you. So it would just like, I don't know, it would fall flat. It wouldn't really resonate or it would look just like that, So people need to figure out like, how do they, if you were to tell another agent, like if they're like, I want to show up authentically like this, I want to have a like signature style, and I'm not going to do the squat like you do, and I'm not going to do like that tone of voice, but like, how do I figure out my thing? Like, do you have like a piece of advice for someone that's wanting to get going?
Yeah. Well, okay. So, I think one of the reasons that I was able to kind of develop these little signature pieces is because I just looked around and I said, I'm going to use what I have. So I squatted because I had a short tripod, and my microphone, he's right here, Mike Tyson. He scored it, and I get so much, like, so many people are in my comments saying like, get a wireless one. And I'm like, thank you. No, thank you. Like, I have 100,000 followers. I think we're fine. And so like, I just used with what I had. And then it kind of became the thing. So like, people are like, oh, what do I need to do to get started? I'm like, just use what you have. And for, it's not always going to be as visible, like, I don't know, but people try really hard to be like, I need to buy this piece of equipment so that I can do this thing. And I'm like, maybe you don't. Maybe that's holding you back.
Don't you think ultimately they're looking for an excuse why they're not ready or why they are not capable? And I think we fill ourselves with all of these excuses almost as a shield to be like, I'm going to protect myself from any possible criticism, any possible like pushback from anyone. I mean, and that's what I'm curious about, like these sellers that you are like promoting their listing. I mean, I feel like now they're probably like, oh, I want that girl in my house. But were they really like that in the beginning? Like, were they like, is that a listing video? Like, what are you doing?
So, cause these weren't my listings, right? Cause, I'm a new agent, so I don't have all these $5 million listings.
Yeah.
But I had, like, I've made some friends in the industry, and, so I just was like, hey, can I get into that listing? And so, I was specifically like, I had a criteria for what I thought would make a good video, and it was, staged and vacant, because then it gives me like, my whole creative process just crumbles if there's people around. I don't want anyone to make eye contact with me. I can post this and let 5 million people see it. That's fine. I don't want anyone in the room hearing me
In
make
the
this
moment.
video. Yeah. So, and that actually kind of like just naturally led me towards like listings that were from flippers, and flippers do not care. Okay. They have no emotional stake in this. And they think any exposure is good exposure. So that was kind of like a really good, they just didn't care. They don't even they don't even want me to tell them when I'm going to be there. They're just like, I don't care. Go in, do whatever. And so that was
smart.
a really good way for me. I mean, to go in there and kind of have some freedom to goof around. And my brokerage that I'm with is not. They don't care either.
That's awesome.
At least no one's given me any pushback.
Yeah.
And I also do feel like my videos aren't like inappropriate, right?
Right.
So there's a girl, I do get copycats. There's a girl that all my followers have been sending to me. She's an agent in Tampa, and she's doing kind of what I'm doing. I mean, to her credit, I don't feel like she's stealing what I'm doing. But it's the same framework of like, picking on the potential buyer, right? And she is like, what am I allowed to say on this?
You can say whatever you want.
You can say whatever.
Okay. So like one of her hooks is like she's talking about like her like there's more bushes in this yard than her mom in the 80s. Like, you know, like she's talking about and she's like pushing the envelope, which is other people have done that too. Okay. So but I don't feel like I do that because I also don't feel like that's I it's just not my thing. So even if someone was like, "Oh, I don't like your style," I feel like they couldn't really be mad about like the content of it, right? Like I don't think I'm controversial in the content necessarily.
Right.
I'm not. I never once have mentioned a genital. You know?
Not yet anyway.
Not yet. There's
think
always
that-
the next reel.
Yes, and you know, that's the truth. Like people, when you're good, when you're onto something, when you're being a trend setter, you're going to have those copycats. And it's, I mean, gosh, we've dealt with that how many times, Chelsea? Like people are straight up copying all the content that we give to these members. But it also, in some ways, it's like, you know what? Then they're always going to be one step behind. So like you have to
Waiting
keep
for your next move.
Yes, so you have to really keep your head down and be like committed to staying true to who you are, staying true to what you know works, and like, you know, being that trailblazer that's leading the way, and like let everyone else copy. Like it's not even worth like fighting them, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and like because I honestly feel like she's grown a lot, like this girl in Florida, and like good for her because she's finding her own little audience. And they're not the same as my audience. Maybe there's some crossover, but also like I don't feel threatened at all because like I'm really happy with what I'm doing. So I think one thing that real estate agents do a lot is we feel threatened all the time. We're so insecure, and I think it's gross, and I think it comes across. And so so like I just don't. I don't feel threatened by her because she can go do her own thing. Because the way I figured out what I was going to do is I kind of imitated a little bit. You have to imitate, and then you kind of like grow into yourself, and you figure out what you're going to do. And so, I don't.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And there's really nothing new under the sun, right? Like you're not the first person to use like dry humor in a listing video or in any kind of marketing. This is true. My bad. But we have to like keep our heads down. And the cool thing about real estate is it's a local business. And so the fact that she's in Florida and the fact that you're in Utah, right? Like different markets. But I wanted to ask you about that. Like how has going viral impacted your local business, but also like connections with other agents? Like how do you, because sometimes like I think that we have agents who want to go viral, who would like dream of like blowing up, but then we're always like, don't even worry about that. Like focus on your local community. Where's the balance there for you?
Okay. There's this one thing that I'm kind of struggling with right now, which is I have people that love me so much. Like, I made a joke about how I really want to partner with ThreadUp and like in one of my reels. And I had people in the comments being like, ThreadUp, partner with her. We would die for her. And I was like, and so like, I have these people that like, I feel like if they had an opportunity to contribute to my financial well-being, they would do it. And so this is a real thing that I'm struggling with right now is like, how do I allow these people that really love me and like want to support me? How do I help them do that? Because it's two things. It's one that like, could I help them with a referral? Sure. But like how many people at a given moment are actually in the spot where they're buying or selling real estate?
Yep.
Like they're not. So, I think I'm not answering your question. I think
Do you feel like your community has gotten more agent heavy? Do you feel like it's more local? Is it like kind of split? Like, and maybe the growth of agent following, is that kind of shifting your brain? Like, what could I do with this? Like, how could I, like what you're saying, like, how could I leverage this for the people who are like super interested, you know, in whatever it might be, whatever you put out there. Like you build this loyal following and people will raise their hand and be like, I'll take it. I'll buy it. It doesn't even matter what it is because they love you. Right. And that's like the cool thing about a personal brand. So like, maybe you're still figuring that aspect out, but I'm curious, like the difference between like local people who are like, I need you to sell my house and make these videos in it, or like referrals, and then like agents. Like what is the mix, would you say?
Okay, it's hard to figure out like what you have a lot of analytics, but I can't separate who's an agent and who isn't. So with this completely fabricated number, I think my audience is probably like 70% regulars, just
Okay.
normies, and 30% agents or industry people, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's a little skewed. Maybe we're closer to 60-40. I don't know. But yeah, so I don't I've dealt with a lot of, like, I've gone through a lot of scenarios of like, well, how do I really capture this thing? Because like I have built it, and so I feel like I have earned monetizing something here, right? But I also want to do it in a way that feels really authentic to me, and so the point I'm trying to make here is a following does not equal like bonkers revenue. Okay, so I haven't made it yet. I think that I will. I feel very good about that. But I think people decide that virality is this thing that will get them to where they want to be, and it's not. That's just not true. Like you have to have the things in place. You have to have kind of a plan, and honestly, I don't think that didn't have the framework to like get as big as I did, as quickly as I did, and then instantly like cash in on that. But I do have I have a listing right now that just dropped into my DMs, and that was very validating, like proof of concept that that I'm reaching the right people. And so then when I went and did my listing appointment with him, it was very fun and easy, and I was like, I'm attracting the right people.
Yes, so much.
That's amazing. And that's like before you even get into monetizing a different avenue, it's like it's that conversion before you even have the appointment, they're converted. And that's like the best of the best feeling, right?
Our people will want to hear this though. Like, because I do think people see big numbers of following, or even like videos with lots of likes, lots of comments and all of that. And then they're like, I want that. And it's like, that doesn't mean she sold the house. Like, and so you almost like, you have two ways to look at it, right? Like if you want to grow your real estate business, you got to be selling houses, you got to be meeting buyers, you got to be making those connections with people. But then you also have all these agents. And I think sometimes I know that our members get almost like discouraged when they have a lot of agents who are liking their stuff, following them and all of that. But we're saying like they're following you because you're setting the example. Like you're doing something that they almost want to imitate. And so like, even though yes, everyone wants the local follower who DMs them a listing, right? But like other times success looks different than that.
Well, yeah. And I think that like, it's not as important like who is following you. I mean, it is. Okay, I'm going to just contradict myself 5 times. But I think that the better indicator of like the content you're putting out is striking a chord is like what people are saying. Because one thing I do see a lot in real estate social media is that when people get other real estate people or mortgage people or your title buddies, when they're commenting and they're like, great information, and it's not a conversation, right? Then I'm like, I think you missed. I think that's an indicator that you are getting some pity from them. Like they're just being supportive. Maybe they're not thinking of it as pity, but maybe, it's really not something that's striking a chord with anybody. And that's why you're just seeing feedback from other industry people. But if you're starting a conversation, and industry people are taking part in that conversation, that's okay. So other real estate agents paying attention to your stuff isn't necessarily like, this isn't working. It's just like, what are they saying? Like, let's talk about what is actually happening in your comments.
Yes, 100%.
That's such a good way to frame it. And what I love that you're doing ultimately, which is going to give you the like creative freedom to do whatever you want, is you're building a personal brand. So yes, that could lean more real estate, but it could also lean more towards the world is your oyster. You could do anything with it, right? And that's kind of, I feel like, where you're at, like what should it be right now? But it's a good reminder to anyone listening in a business, because you don't always know the next exact step. You kind of have to but if your personal brand is what you're rooted in, then that gives you the door to do whatever. But like, how would you did you decide like, I'm going to build a personal brand through this? Or did it kind of just happen as you did the videos? Like, I feel like you have such a signature style that it's so easy to come in and almost feel like a vibe. Like I've said before, like think of your brand as like a room that you would walk into, and like, what would it look like? What music would be playing? What would the wall color be? And I feel like feed feels like I'm walking into a room, right?
Okay. I have so many opinions about this because I'm gonna plug myself a little. I am currently working on like a mini find your voice guide. I call it Demons Take the Wheel. Okay.
Ooh, I love this. Also on brand.
Yeah, I know, right? So, where I am trying to lay out how people can find this because I think I found it because I had some really tough stuff I went through. I went through a really tough divorce, and that was the foundation of me figuring out like I don't care what other people think of me because he was saying things about me that weren't true. Like that happens a lot in divorces, right? And I didn't have the energy to go and correct him. And then anytime people believed him, I was like, okay, you've told me about yourself because you've had these experiences with me. You know that what he's saying about me doesn't align with that, but you're still choosing to believe him. So I'm no longer going to chase your, like, I don't care to shape your opinion of me because you've shown me what it is. So I had some tough stuff that got me to this point. And not everyone has that, or maybe we do have it and we don't know how to kind of analyze that or like really grab hold of that. So I think really one of the foundational keys is to like look at yourself, like really bust yourself down and think like, well, what do I actually hate about this industry? Because that's a scary thing for people to do because, again, real estate agents feel very threatened. And so they're so scared that if they point out anything that people will be like, oh, I'm not going to use you. I'm not going to use a real estate agent. And so people really shy away from like kind of the honesty of it.
Yeah.
And even admitting to themselves, like the kind of core thing that I really was frustrated with in this industry is toxic positivity. Like this, where people are like, their sales pitches are always like, this is your dream home.
Yeah.
This is everything in your life is going to be amazing.
Yep.
You're going to love it here. No problems. Your kids are going to grow up and never say a bad word because you gave them this house. And it really frustrates me because, like, A, we're telling people that we know more about their lives than they do. And I think that's insulting. And B, it's just, okay. My 12th birthday was September 11th. Okay, so I've seen some shit. Okay,
no.
and we all have. Like the last several decades have just been calamity after calamity. So people that show up in our feed saying everything's so great and wonderful and perfect, instantly like your bullshit meter goes way high and they lose credibility to you. So that was the thing that was driving me. Is like, I think it's all fake. I hate the fakeness. And so I stepped back and I was like, okay, how am I going to, how am I going to approach this differently? And in a way I'm like mocking the industry, but also like I am trying to show people like, I see you.
Yeah. Do you guys remember, maybe it was like 2 years ago when the big thing going around in real estate land on Instagram was like renting interest rate is always 100%. And I was like, that is the most tone deaf, insensitive thing you could say. And so I know for us, like we created content for our members that was like, it's okay to rent and like other things your agent won't tell you because it's like
It
they're
resonated so much. Like,
yes. Yeah. And a lot of our members said like, oh my gosh, like I had so many DMs. I had so many, but it's like, you can't be tone deaf. And like, even right now, like, guess what? Interest rates are high. Like homes are a lot more unaffordable. Now there's creative marketing we can do, or there's like, even like creative financing situation. Like there's so many things we can do as your agent to help you and represent you well, but it doesn't mean that the house is not expensive. Like, let's just call it like what it is. And I feel like, and that's handling people's objections. And I think it's the people and the companies who are afraid to do that their followers think they've got something to hide or they're trying to like pull one over on me. But if you can just say the housing industry is really difficult right now, or like mortgage rates are still high.
Just say, say whatever it is,
Yeah. That makes them lean in and that makes them go like, well, what does she have to say about it? Because that's what I've been thinking, So that's
it makes it feel real because it's not like what you're doing is like negative. It's just not like the toxic positive fake stuff. It's more like yeah, that is what I would do in that master or living room or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that is what I would be doing in there. Like it's so like I don't know, like you see yourself through it so much more than like the shiny just listed banner, this here's your next dream home, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I want to know, because I feel like you said this at the beginning and that we didn't really dig into it. You said like you can see what's happening on Instagram or like the like user behavior. How did you then pair that with like, okay, I get it. Like I get how this, like you're looking more at like not what I want to tell people, but like what are people consuming that is driving the conversation. It's not just the thing that's going to get like the comment from grandma or their lender friend that's going to be like, love this, you know, like you're looking at what's going to make someone actually engage in conversation with this or care about what the point of this is.
Okay. So I had like a come to Jesus moment. I wish I had a date on the calendar where I was like, this is when it all changed. But just so you know, so you know the timeline. So October of 2024 is when I started kind of posting in my signature style, where I kind of found my groove, really. And so at that time, I had 1,400 followers when I posted my first one. I, like, 2 days ago hit 100,000 followers. And so, you know, do I want to say, hey, I'm going to teach you how to replicate this exact growth? No, because that's kind of insane. But it just like, it has all happened very quickly because I was honest with myself about how conversations happen. And the way that I was really kind of studious about this was I spent a lot of time scrolling, which normally, do I think that's good advice? No. Okay, I don't. But real estate agents fall into this trap where we look at real estate content and we think, okay, how am I going to learn how to make real estate content? I'm going to look at real estate content. But what we should do is say, how are we going to make content? Mm-hmm. And then have the context of it be real estate. And so I spent a bunch of time scrolling through content, and like whenever I would stop on something, I'd be like, why? Why am I stopping on this? So then I just save it. And I kept doing this. I honestly probably like one day probably spent like 3 hours doing this. And I
That's
don't
like our life.
Yeah. I don't remember if my kids ate dinner before 7 p.m. then. I don't know. But so I spent a lot of time because like you intuitively know, like when you're scrolling through, you're like, this, I like this. Okay. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be a genius to go. You don't have to be a marketing master to go through and know what you like. But then you have to take the next step of like, after you've kind of compiled this sample of what made you stop, go look at it again, see what the common threads are, see what the activity is like in the comments and what conversations people are having. Because like, I mean, some people's bread and butter is they'll do rage bait, you know? And so then that gets conversation. But like, that's, I don't think for real estate, like that's going to be the right approach for us. Mm-hmm. Because can we handle some controversy? Sure. We can have opinions. But rage bait for the sake of engagement, like that's not always going to be useful. Right. But like, why are you stopping on things? What do you like? And then figure out like what that means for you making content. Because like, honestly, the stuff that makes me stop is just weird. I like things that surprise me. I like things that are like just offbeat. The kind of things where you're like, how did they think of that? Mm-hmm. I love stuff like that. Yep. And so it's like, well, obviously, like there's a market for content like that. And I definitely think that I have the weirdness in my brain to create that. Yeah. So like, and maybe some people scrolling through are like, they love the ones that it's like an inspirational story. Like it doesn't always have to be humor. I feel grateful that I can lean on humor because it's an easy thing to go viral in. But like, that's not really what everybody is set up to do or enjoys.
Well, and that's what happens too. Like what happens is someone sees someone like you who's like posting these things and having success, and then they think, well, I should do that. And then they do it and it doesn't land and they can't figure out why. Well, that's not who you are. Your people that already know you and love you are like, this is totally out of left field. This doesn't make any sense. So like, you have to be true on who you are. And like, that's where I think like, sometimes I think some people are able to kind of stumble upon things or like just be willing, like for you, like when you're saying, I didn't care. I had nothing to lose. I just posted stuff. I think you can learn a lot from that. I think other people who maybe are a little more fearful can do a lot more fine tuning of their brand behind the scenes, and then kind of have an idea of like what they're geared towards and what kind of content stops their tracks and like how they want to recreate things. So I think all of that, like, it's going to look different for everybody, and it should look different for everybody because everyone's attracted to different things.
Yeah. And okay, so I have an opinion. When people are looking for their personal brand, I think a lot of people, this trap that we fall into, not just real estate, but like in the world, people fall into this trap where they label themselves. Okay. So we have all seen the real estate agents that are like, I feel bad. I'm not thinking of anyone specific. Okay. I'm not calling anyone out, but like if someone's like, oh, I'm the cowgirl realtor. Okay. Or I'm the yoga realtor, or like, I'm the compassionate realtor. Like, they give themselves this label because they want people to know that about them. And I think that is not a good approach. Maybe it works for them. I don't know. I'm not all knowing. Okay. My degree is in history, so I really don't know what I'm talking about. But here's what I think. I think that when you label something so up front like that, it takes away a lot of kind of the funness of it. And also, if it's so true, then you shouldn't have to come out front with it, okay? Mm-hmm. So like in the examples that I gave, like if you are the cowgirl realtor, like freaking just do your listing videos on a horse. Yes. And you can just be like, people are gonna get it. Okay, so I think that it's almost insulting for you to have to be like, hey guys, I'm a cowgirl, and make that your whole personality when you could just not mention it. People are gonna get it, okay? So like, I don't even know what
this example. Mm-hmm. Listing video on a horse.
Yeah, well, because like that's a way to make it yours, but you also don't have to be like, you don't have to explain to people what you are. They just get it, and then the magic here is that they get this payoff for figuring it out, for them being able to put that label on you and knowing. So like, I mean, I don't even know if I was trying to label myself, sometimes people in my comments do it and it's fun. So people have been like, you are so dark, you're bright, or like, you're an optimistic nihilist, or you're like a ray of chaos. Like people will put that label on me. But like if I came out front and said like, I'm all these things, and people are like, okay. And then
it would be weird. It would be weird. It's like you're a cowgirl realtor and now you're handing out cowboy boot shaped business cards. Like skip that part and get the horse. Like I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we always say,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say like you just don't have to assume people aren't going to figure that out. And okay, so sorry, go ahead, Kayla.
No, it's okay. It's like a matter of like, we always say like, we show, we don't tell. Yes. Like, so you don't tell someone like, I can help you buy or sell a house, but you show them the process of like how you helped someone negotiate an offer, or like behind the scenes of you working on the MLS on the couch or whatever in your stories. Like you can drip real estate content, or even like we say sometimes, like sprinkle it like sprinkles all over a cake. Like don't just pour it all on like, here's my real estate content, but like weave it into everything else that you're doing. And then even if someone's not looking to buy or sell, which most people on Instagram aren't, especially in this day and age, like they're still attracted to you. They're still like, you're still building this like magnetic brand that people want to be a part of. They want to be a part of your story. They want to figure out, who is this girl? You know, they want to do all of those things, even if they're not ready to sell. But the cool thing is the moment that they are, or the moment that they know someone who is, like, you are going to be the agent that they're thinking of, which is like, it's the long game. Like, we have to be patient for it. We have to stay in real estate long enough to get that payoff, but like we get the payoff eventually.
Yeah. Well, and I think the thing that's beautiful about this is like, it is a way for you to stand out, but not be such a try-hard, right? So like, I feel like I could give example, like, okay, give me an example of a hobby or something that you guys are interested in, and then I want to see if I can tell you how I think you could spin that into real estate content.
Okay, I love reading.
You love reading?
Reading.
Okay. So let's say that you are going to do this listing, and your real estate handle is just like friggin' normal. Okay, mine's realtor Kaitlin, right? It doesn't say like
I love books.
I'm the, yeah, mine doesn't say like, I'm the Wednesday Addams of real estate, you know?
Right.
So yours could just be normal. And then through your content, you like are in a living room and you're like, okay, this living room reminds me of the scene in Pride and Prejudice when Darcy does this thing. And so like you could be speaking to your audience, like your lit audience, and not have to just label yourself as this, I'm the bookish realtor. Like you just are. You just go stand in that room and you describe a literary scene, or you say like, this is a great place for this book, you know, because the homes and the real estate should be the setting, you know, and you are like the thing that's at the forefront here.
Yeah.
Okay, I love this. Do one more. Can you do yoga? Because when you said yoga earlier, that's not really my thing. But like, I just want to know, like, what would you do for like yoga? Like, would you wear a yoga outfit to every listing, everything? Like, would you dress in yoga clothes? Like, what would you do for yoga?
Yeah. So, okay, let's say I do love yoga, but it's not like obviously that's not the thing that I've like decided is my my whole thing. But
Another really good topic.
Yeah.
yeah,
Keep going.
if I was like, this is how I connect to people. Like my yoga community is really important to me. I would friggin' like, I would be in yoga clothes, and in every video I would have my yoga mat and I would like flip it out like theatrically, and you just do different yoga poses in different parts of the house.
Yeah.
And like that could be
So good.
your thing. And you could like put yoga clothes in a closet and be like, look how much space there is for all these yoga clothes. Or you could be like, I could have my entire yoga class in here because this living room is so big, you know, like there's so many little things you can do that get you in houses and showing the houses in a different way, but still get that point across of like who you are and you stick in people's minds.
That's what I want to watch on Instagram. That's what I want to see. You know what I mean? Like that sounds intriguing. Like someone please go do this and make it your thing. And then I like come tell me so I can watch your content. Cause like that's exciting. That's like, I'm going to probably have a lot to say about that versus like, oh, cute. Love it. You know?
Yeah. I love that. I'm a football coach's wife, and I'm thinking for myself, like, how many high school boys could you feed in this living room after team dinner? And it's like, that's how I would describe the space of like how large the living room is or how large the kitchen is and those kind of things.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, that makes it so much more engaging because most of my community isn't looking to buy or sell, but they all love the football team. So they'd be like, wait, what? Like, I want to know what you're talking about. So that's so good. But back to Chelsea's point, I love that question. How do you decide what you're sharing? Because of course, like, people are probably think they know you really well, but you're like, you don't know me at all. I don't share hardly anything about myself on there. But like, so how do you find that balance and fight the urge to overshare? Because I think a lot of people that get a little bit of fame from social media and get a little bit of like, almost like fangirling on Instagram, then they're like, well, you want to know more? And then all of a sudden they're oversharing and it's like, this is too much. I can't.
Or all of a sudden they're like a fashion influencer and they're a recipe blogger and they try to do it all. And I'm like, wait, what happened to the point? Like, I think people get really hung up on like, well, what should my thing be? Like, and they way overthink it.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that like, that's one thing you have to remember why people followed you in the first place. And so like, I do feel like I have a little bit more freedom now because I do have this follower base that knows me. So like, my bread and butter, I have like these 3 formats of video that are kind of like my core things. One of them, I'm standing in the middle of I'm standing in the corner of my bathroom, like, and it's everything I do, like, because part of my brand is just like, I'm not trying very hard. I'm not trying to impress you. So like, I'm going to stand in the corner of my bathroom, right? I'm not going to have this elaborate lighting set up. And so one of them is me standing in the corner of my bathroom, like kind of talking about miscellaneous things. So like some of the things I've talked about before are like one of them was I was saying, hey, if your partner does these things, don't buy a house with them. And it was like if they make you cry on your birthday every year. And stuff like that, which I think is actual real advice. Don't buy a house with someone who makes you cry on your birthday. But you know, and then another one was like, hey, I actually don't think that you want the extra space. I think what you want is to not trip on your kids' stuff all the time. And like kind of breaking things down like that. But then it doesn't always have to be real estate things. Like there was one time I just used it to respond to, like, I had a hater that was like, she's devaluing the industry. And so I just used that format to like kind of clap back a little, which I don't care to do a lot. Like, but sometimes the moment is right. Because he specifically was like, industry gurus like Tom Ferry, like tell you not to do stuff like her. And it was so funny because the timing that he did it, I was literally like flying out to Orlando to go get interviewed by Tom Ferry on his podcast. And so I was just like,
ultimate
okay.
revenge.
Yeah. And so then I used that format to just be like, I'll ask Tom to see why he doesn't like me on Monday when I talk to him. Like, and so that was one of my formats. And then one of my other formats is pros and cons of different neighborhoods. And that one was hard for me at first because you want to give people this like bird's eye view of a neighborhood, okay? But it was very freeing when I realized you don't have to do that. You can say, I say 3 pros and I say 3 cons, and that is it. Because the beauty in that is that if I miss things, it doesn't mean that I'm a bad real estate agent. It means that people are going to come into my comments and they're going to say, oh, what about this?
Yep.
You know, and then it's a whole discussion about this community. And so like I did one of those videos of the community that I grew up in, and I mentioned like there was a little bakery that's now shut down that I loved when I was a kid. And so like at the very end, I just flashed up a thing that said RIP Rogers Bakery. And I had so many people get in there and talk about how like, how Rogers Bakery like was influential, or how Roger was such a good guy. And so it's one of those things where I'm like, I had good instincts, but like now deconstructing the things that I did, I can see it was actually really smart because it tells people on the outside this community, it tells them about the community, but then it also signals to the people in the know that I'm also in the know, right? So that's cool. And that can be tricky because people are like, well, what if I'm not legitimately not in the know? I never grew up in that neighborhood. But you can figure it out. One of my favorite
Make yourself, yeah. Make yourself
you ask people that live in that area, like figure out those things.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I keep going down these like.
No, I love this. I like where you keep going because it's
and then my third,
so
and then my third format, the one that like this is the one that goes most viral, is the I call them asshole home tours, right? That's the one where I'm crouching and I'm like, hey, I know you're crying yourself to sleep at night. Might as well do it in this room. You know, like that one.
So good.
So I was leaning on those 3 things, and those, I feel like those are my core things that people come for. And so now that I have a following, I can branch out. I've done a couple other different formats that I've played with. But if I just stuck to those things, I know that I would still grow. I know that my audience would still be there. And so you just don't have to have this like whole big library of things. You can find your framework, then you're not reinventing the wheel every time. As long as you can insert enough unique content in there, like everybody knows in my asshole home tours, the kind of stuff they're going to get, but they don't know exactly what I'm going to say. And so they stay the whole time, so that they can see what's at the end.
Yeah. And then they scroll back to the next video and the next video. It makes it binge worthy. And you know, how many times do people say like, oh, I don't have a very aesthetic house, or I don't have good lighting in my house, or like they, again, give themselves all of these excuses and why that kind of content won't work for them. And you're like, but then they'll look at you and be like, but she's doing great. And you're like, I'm standing in my bathroom. Like, there's nothing genius about this. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so it just, this whole episode should just be like, no excuses, everybody. Like, just like make the content.
And when you're scrolling through and you're having that moment where you're being really honest with yourself about what's making you stop scrolling, are you scrolling on the most aesthetic, like, are you stopping on the most aesthetic stuff? Like, are you only stopping on things that have these crazy high production values?
Right.
I'm seeing a movement in real estate where we're really leaning hard into these kind of flashy things. These like the house has been turned into a graphic and it's plopping down in front of you, and then the agent's disappearing, and there's all these things. And I'm like, you hired a crew for that. You spent thousands of dollars on that. There's so much post-production. How sustainable is that really? Like, how much content can you put out of that? And I'm not saying you shouldn't ever do anything that's high production value. Like my most recent listing, I hired a team to come in and have kind of a pretty listing video so that, but you don't need that.
Right.
And especially when you're trying to like create content that helps you grow, you can't put that out frequently enough to actually grow. And so I'm just not like a big proponent of like high production values equals better.
100%.
I also think a lot of people try to treat Instagram like a website. Like the perfectly produced video goes on here and the templates and the graphics and then like they're completely missing from the whole picture. Or like, I want to know what you think about like, so agents who want like, I want to like have more content for builders. I want more people to know that I can help them with the building process. Like, and then they want a graphic that explains 10 ways I can help you when you buy a house or when you build a house. Like, what would you do instead of that? Like, what is your flip to that?
Okay, so I'm not a big fan of graphics in general because okay, we all know that you can just like you could type into Canva this one thing and then spit it out. Like it's not a difficult thing to do and it's not your personality. And so I think we have all like we in general as a human species, we've become really immune to those things. Like those things don't interest us anymore. And we go through phases where like it used to be that everyone was stopping on the 5 tips on how to, anything. Like we used to stop for tips. We don't stop for tips anymore because we've all learned we don't go back and look at those tips. Okay. We need things that are interesting right now, and that are actionable right now. And so we don't want a list of things. There's a time and a place for that. But I think Instagram and our content needs to be where people learn us, because if they trust us, then during the process, they know that we can give them that list.
Yeah.
And so I'm not a fan of that. So, okay, in your example of like trying to show people that you are like, you can help them through the building process, like you could do it in a lot of ways. So like you guys know Glenda Baker, she is kind of known for, she just sits in front of the camera and she says like, I had this deal, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So you could do it that way. You could tell stories. You could like film your content like on a job site and just talk about like, hey, this is what's happening. I feel like there's a lot of ways that you can do it that are actually engaging instead of like, here's a generic list of things that you're not going to remember.
Yep.
Yes. I like that you said they know that they'll get that through me. I don't need to put it on Instagram for them to see it. Like that's such a big mindset shift, I think, for agents who want to rely on the graphics, or maybe it's more hiding behind it. Like, here's my expertise. Like, here it is in a graphic. But then you never see their face or hear their voice. Like, that's not ever going to get them a client or a referral,
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's so
and
funny.
you can have something else, like you can have that be a lead magnet. You can have it in your LinkedIn bio, be like, hey, if you're trying to build, here's my builder like new construction guide, and then so that can still exist. I'm not saying that you should never have stuff like that. I just think you need to know where in the funnel to put those things, and it's not Instagram is not the place to have these very educational things.
Yep. Exactly. Well, and I create all the content for our members. And so it's so funny because I do create a lot of graphics, but the graphics are all designed to showcase behind the scene of what you're doing. So a lot of the graphics are literally a picture with like an image of a text from a client that said like, hey, can you show me this house? And then it's like what I said to this agent when she would ever. But then we also tell them, hey, you could turn that into a reel, or you could turn this into a series. I mean, that's like the whole thing what you're doing is like, it's all signature series style content. And it makes it, I think, people think it's limiting. People think like, oh, now I'm trapped in something. But it's like, it actually is very freeing because now you know exactly how you're like what formats you're going to use that work. And anytime that you have a content idea, you can just think to yourself, which one of these 3 spaces is the best place for that? The end. Like, you're not like, well, now I got to go to Canva and make a whole new graphic about this. And like, it simplifies everything, which I mean, an agent, especially as you get busier and as you get more clients and all of that, you need to keep it simple.
Yeah. Well, and like that's one of the things that I have realized is like I'm not going to do a lot of post production. So if I create these projects for myself that require a lot of back end stuff, I'm probably going to waste my time because I'm going to lose steam on it, and so it's so much better for me to literally, like, when I have the energy, I'll film, I'll edit, and I'll post, like, so I don't have 5 months worth of content already like set up.
Yeah.
I do it on a more short-term basis because like that, I mean, that's kind of how my energy flows anyway, but also, and it lets you kind of like respond better to the moment.
Yeah.
But
That's so good.
That's one of my questions is like, if you could walk us through when you're creating content from start to finish, like if you are more off the cuff, I think how you just explained that you have those 3 video formats, you're able to then be like, well, I'm going to pick one of these to then go do. I'm not trying to think from like, what should I do today? What should I talk about? How should I film? Where should I film? Like, you have your scenario set up, but like if you were like, if we're there with you in the room and you're like, we're going to film a reel right now. Are you ever batching? Are you just doing one at a time? Are you like, what's your process? Or like, how many times per week are you doing this?
I don't batch. I mean, maybe it would be smarter if I did. But I think it's easier for me to like, I mean, okay. One of the things I think is key to my success is like just being very honest with myself about how my brain works and how I am productive. Because if I try and match, I mean, we all have ADHD, right? Do we all? Like, I feel like everybody in the industry. And so like if I try and do it in these ways that just like do not work for my brain, then ultimately it really is like a fool's errand. I'm not gonna be able to follow through. So I don't batch. And maybe in a year, if I have some people on my team that are like doing all that kind of mental load and setting things up, and they're like, Kaitlin, just show up here, we're gonna do this and this and this, and then maybe I could do that. But when I'm handling it all by myself, I'm gonna focus on per reel things. Just decide what I'm gonna do. I pick one of my formats, and I decide where I need to go do it, and then I do it. So I mean, I do prep work beforehand most of the time. I have 60% of what I'm gonna say done, but sometimes creatively I just like get there and I don't, like, it's not working for me, so I don't ever try and box myself into a certain script. And especially because like if I'm doing an asshole home tour and I go to the home and there's something that I didn't notice from the listing video or from the listing photos or something, then I don't want to have wasted my time deciding all these things that now I'm like, oh wait, I want to pivot a little. So it's like, I think that for me, having this framework that has enough wiggle room for me to be creative is like my sweet spot.
For sure.
I love that because I think people get really caught up in, I need a plan, and the plan has to equate to, I post 5 days a week. And I'm like, what does it matter if you're posting 5 days a week if the content isn't good, And having the framework allows, like, I need the creative freedom. I can't, if I tell myself I'm doing these 5 things, by the time I get to Tuesday, I'm out. I'm like, nope, this isn't, I don't like this. I don't like any of it. It doesn't work. So I think people need to know, like, lean into whatever your brain is like when it comes to this. Some people may need to batch 5 and that's how they work. Like, but a lot of people don't. And it's just like the nature of Instagram and creativity and all of that.
Yeah. I think this idea, cause like there is so much good information out there on like how we can be the most strategic or the most efficient. And we all want to be the most efficient. But actually, if it doesn't work for you, then it's the least efficient, right? And so we try so hard to optimize, and a lot of times I think that just stands in our way because we're like, we can't optimize. I can't optimally optimize. I'm just saying words now, making them up. And so people just burn out because they're trying really hard to do it in a way that just doesn't work for them. And so like I'm a big proponent of like, think very honestly about what is sustainable for you because maybe batching is a really good idea. Maybe that is how people can sustain it, because then they can just dedicate this 1 hour, or I'm sorry, this like 1 day a month to like batching all these things. But I don't like that, because when I do all that stuff, I lose momentum on these individual, like, so like, let's say I'm trying to make 10 reels. I'm trying to batch 10 reels. I lose momentum on the individual reels. I kind of lose the thread. I don't feel like they're as zingy, like, because, you know, I just, that's not the way that my momentum works. And so I would much rather be less efficient and focus on one thing at a time than try and optimize.
Right. We don't have to optimize our whole lives. That's for sure.
Well, that's true. When you are doing an asshole home tour, how many are you recording multiple reels in that house? Like, when are you just kind of like, here's my one room and my one like thing that pops in my brain?
Yeah, usually I just film the one thing. Sometimes, like, if I have a really good idea for something else, then I'll be like, maybe I'll do this while I'm here. But when I'm going into it, I just usually I'm planning on doing that one thing.
Yeah.
Do you have like a bank of like ideas in like your notes app or something that's just like, okay, I want to do that one, and when the right house comes along, I'm gonna do that? Or like, is it kind of all off the cuff?
No, I definitely have like a very twisted note in my notes app that's like, it's got a lot of, because I'll just be driving in the car. I hate driving because it's so boring to me, but it's also one of the places where I do my best thinking, because I have nothing else to do. And so, like, especially when I'm driving, I'll just like be adding to my notes app of like, I don't know, some things that like I don't know if I'll ever use. I have a joke about like getting fired from Chuck E. Cheese. Like, I don't know if I'll ever use that.
I think
but
you
like
should.
it's in my notes app. I thought of it. I think the concept is funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have this notes app that I'll just like add to. But that doesn't necessarily mean that every time I go into a house I'm relying on that notes app, because sometimes in the moment I'm like, well, that's funny.
Yeah.
This is like unrelated, but not like what shows do you like, or like what podcasts do you listen to? Like, what's your, not that a show inspires you necessarily, but a little bit, like there's something related to your personality and like the shows we pick, or the, you know, the book we read or whatever. Like, what's your thing?
Okay, my favorite show of all time is 30 Rock.
Okay.
Have you guys watched that?
No, I've never
some,
seen
yeah.
it.
It's so Tina Fey, I like, if she would let me marry her, I would. Like, I'm very in love with my fiance, but like, I think he'd understand.
Yeah.
I love Tina Fey. I think she's so brilliant. And I love 30 Rock because it knows exactly what it is. It doesn't take itself too seriously. And then there are so many layers of jokes. So the thing I love about it is like, you watch it one time, you're laughing at the jokes. You watch it another time, you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't notice this joke the last time. Like, that's so smart. And they do it at such a pace. They're not spoon feeding you the jokes. They don't give every single joke the time to breathe, because they don't care if you get every single joke. It's so smart.
Okay, now I'm watching this tonight.
30 Rock is so funny, and it like, it brings in a lot of that absurdity that I said. Like, I love weirdness, and like every character, they write every character the exact way that character should be written, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good. I feel like, I know we're kind of getting close on time, but I could talk to you all day. But I feel like I'd be doing our whole audience a huge disservice if I didn't ask you. You know, we talked all about social media and all the things that you're doing to grow your business on social media. But we always say, like, social media is not a dead end. Like, it's just the beginning. How do you pour all of this, all of your marketing insights, all of your personality, all of your humor, all of that stuff into your client processes, your emails, your marketing for your listings? Like, how does that carry over so that people, when they work with you, they're getting the same girl that they worked or that they saw on Instagram?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, there is a little bit of a disconnect, because, like, obviously the way I'm speaking to you now, this is baseline, okay? And I, people do think that I get the feedback sometimes that I'm like bubbly. So I am not the same persona that I am online. So I do feel like I need to tell people, like, you're not being catfished.
Right.
I just like, I have more facets of my personality, because it's not. Because me on Instagram, that's 100% is me. It's just not the entirety of me, right?
I
So
like your
sometimes that-
bio says unhinged, but in a professional way. Like
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
good
See, because
example.
I'm not making jokes about my mom's bush, you know. So like, that's where I'm unhinged, but like not,
Right.
yeah,
I'm not going to cross the line.
Right.
yeah. So I think it crosses over because what it does is it like creates this rapport with my clients. So even though I'm not showing up and I'm not just like telling them that they're pieces of crap and like that they're disappointing their parents, because they already know that. It just like creates this rapport and this like a sense of ease, where then I can just come in and I can do the real estate stuff.
Yeah.
And I think one of the tricks is that people don't think that you can't do your job. And so many people get stuck in this thing of like, I have to prove that I can do my job. I can prove that I can do my job. And people kind of are just going to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
So what you have to prove is that you connect to them and that they connect to you, and then they'll let you do the job, you know?
Yeah.
So
true.
I mean, but I do want to be honest and say, like, I am not the most experienced real estate agent. I have a handful of deals under my belt. And so I don't want to come in here and say, like, I've cracked the code to real estate. You know, but the area that I feel like I can very confidently speak with some authority is like showing up online authentically and like giving people a space to get to know you so that you can kind of, it's like a soft launch into your relationship with your client, you know?
Yeah, I signed up for your emails recently, and you have to tell people about your emails because, I mean, talk about not a canned newsletter from your broker.
Yep. Okay, so because I have a hard time where I don't want to do something unless I feel like I can make it unique, right? And unless I can have my own spin on it. So sometimes, like, I've tried to do an email before, but it's never really stuck because it was your usual, like, you know, step one, talk to a mortgage broker, blah, blah, blah. Right. And so that doesn't feel worth my time really because I'm bored by it. So obviously, like, I don't expect other people to open those emails. But I see the value in having an email list because especially when you're on social media, I have 100,000 followers. If something happens, if Instagram decides that I have done something I shouldn't have done, I lose all that, you know? So I am very vulnerable if that's my only way to contact my people. So I see value in an email list. And so me not doing it doesn't mean that I didn't think it was valuable. It's that I didn't have my way to make it worth someone opening. So I saw something else. I saw an event that, like this singles event where people were pitching their friends. And it was like, hey, you should date Brad because he like volunteers at the animal shelter once a week, and you know, and he has a six-pack, you know. And it was so funny. I was like, I love this is so funny, because we all know like the dating world is just hot garbage, and so I was like, well, what if I did my own version of that? I can't do that. I don't have the mental energy, and it doesn't necessarily make sense for me to hold this event.
Right.
I can't do that. But what if I brought that kind of flavor into my email? And so I call it Single Lake City, and I have forms set up so people can go nominate themselves or their friend, and then every week my weekly email includes a single person.
So genius.
That's amazing.
And then you know, in the email there's like, hey, I have another section where I'm like, if you don't need a date but you need a house, like, and then I have houses, and then at the very bottom I'm like, here's other ways you can work with me. And so I think that people don't want to be sold to. I think people want to be entertained, and then they're willing to spend their time and energy with you. And so I just thought, like, single people have nothing to do with real estate. But I live in Salt Lake City, so that's a good way to tie me to Salt Lake. Yeah. And I think it's funny.
It's so funny.
And I think it's entertaining.
And it's letting someone else write the email for you, basically. You're just putting their information that they gave you up there, and then you're just putting I can also help you, goodbye. And it's so
and
easy.
Yeah, and it's another thing of like, this is sustainable for me. I can do this every week. I can put this out there. I can distill the information that someone's given me about their friend.
Yeah.
Put it in an email.
So
And then
good.
I can pick some properties that I want to highlight and I can send that out. Like I can maintain that every week. I can't bore myself every week by saying like, here's your top tips on like how to know that a roof is good. I don't
Right.
care.
No one else.
I don't
Our
care.
brains work so similarly,
Yeah.
yet we're very different. But like my brain works like yours. Like I'm gonna pick something about dating and make my real estate email about that. That is like makes my heart so happy. I just love that. It's so fun. It just makes things so much more fun, and the fun equals sustainable to me. Like if I'm not having fun and I'm bored, I'm never gonna do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and I think like life is hard, and why not inject fun into things? Like I think okay, so I'm 35 and I definitely think there's, my parents' generation, they want things to be more like buttoned up and professional, which is fine because if I'm not the agent for them, I'm fine with that. It's because there are agents for them. And so I'm not concerned with being the agent for everybody. So if I'm having fun, then I think that it does bring people in. I mean, I know it does because it's worked.
It's working. Exactly.
Yep.
Well, and no one is the agent for everyone. Even it doesn't matter if you're the agent for them, you're not the agent for me. Then we all have our people. So
And like, what if you're the cowgirl realtor and someone's allergic to horses? It's okay if it doesn't work.
you will be okay.
Well, it makes you love your business more. It makes you excited to show up for work. It makes you excited to meet your clients. And like, we're all about building a business around your life and not the other way around. So like the more that you can have a life and like still have time with your kids, to still have time with your friends, like all of that, like I don't know, you're going to be in it much more for the long haul. You're much less likely to burn out, and you're going to attract loyal clients. So you don't have to be chasing people. They're going to be coming to you easily. So
Attraction-based marketing. Yeah, that's what it is at the core.
Yeah. But you can sign up for my email list if you want.
I was going to say, tell everyone where they can follow you, what they can do, how they can work with you, all the things.
Yeah. So Instagram is the best kind of way to get there. So
I
just
love
go to
that.
Instagram.
Go to your Instagram, Kaitlin Hannig.
Yeah.
We'll link it in our little thing, show notes.
Yes.
It's Realtor Kaitlin, but I don't expect anyone to actually be able to find me that way because there's 8,000 ways to spell Kaitlin.
That's fair.
Kaitlin.
All white women are named Kaitlin.
Right? I love it. Or Kayla or Chelsea. It's the way that it goes.
Yeah.
Kaitlin, this was so fun. We love talking with you. I feel like you're like an honorary marketing girl, and you're gonna just go big places. And I'm excited to watch your career like flourish and watch you have fun with it in the meantime. That's so cool.
Thank you so much for being here. I could talk to you forever. You're so smart, you're witty, you're creative, like all the things. And I like love how much everything you say aligns with this podcast and what it's for. So you were just
Absolutely.
I was so excited to have you come on. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Thanks, guys.
We'll have you on again.
Thanks for wearing black to like
We tried
make
to
me feel comfortable.
Tried to help you.
Energetically aligned is when you wear the same color, you know?
I love it. All right. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you later.
See you guys.
All right. Bye.